Mafia boss discovers a dying female cop lying on the street. Out on a stroll after a brutal day, he walked through the dimly lit streets alone, just to clear his head. Then he heard it, shallow gasps. He moved closer and froze. There, under the flickering streetlight, a female cop, beaten, bloodied, and barely breathing, lay on the cold pavement. Vincent Cain stood over her, his heart pounding, his mind racing. Should he save the dying cop, or walk away? He'd made a vow, never get involved with police business. But her life was slipping away, and something inside him refused to let him turn his back. Before we dive into this story, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it? Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, like, and share. Vincent Cain was not having a good day. The kind of day where everything that could go wrong did. 2 shipments delayed. A rival family making moves on his territory. His most trusted lieutenant questioning his decisions. And to top it all off, a splitting headache that felt like his skull was about to crack open. He needed air. Space. A moment away from the constant pressure of being the man everyone feared and depended on. So he did something he rarely did. He walked. Alone. No bodyguards. No driver. No entourage. Just Vincent Cain and the empty streets of the warehouse district at 11 p.m. The cool night air hit his face as he moved through the shadows, hands deep in his coat pockets. This part of town was quiet. Too quiet for most people. But Vincent liked it that way. No noise. No demands. Just the sound of his footsteps echoing off brick walls. Then he heard something. Faint. Desperate. A sound that made his trained instincts snap to attention. Shallow gasps. Like someone struggling to breathe. Vincent stopped, his body going rigid. Every nerve in his body told him to keep walking. To mind his own business. He'd built his empire on one rule. Never get involved with law enforcement. Never. Cops meant trouble. Questions. Investigations. The kind of attention that could destroy everything he'd worked for. But the gasping got weaker. More desperate. And Vincent found his feet moving before his brain could stop them. He turned the corner into a narrow alley. And that's when he saw her. A woman in a police uniform. Slumped against a dumpster like a discarded RAG doll. Her face was pale. Too pale. Blood pooled beneath her, dark and spreading. Her eyes were half closed, her breathing shallow and ragged. She'd been beaten. Badly. Her uniform was torn in places. Her badge hanging crooked on her chest. And her hand was pressed weakly against her side where blood seeped through her fingers. Vincent's jaw clenched. He should walk away. Should pretend he never saw this. Cops died all the time in this city. It wasn't his problem. Wasn't his responsibility. But something about the way she looked, so broken, so alone, made him hesitate. He'd made a VOW years ago. Never involve himself in police matters. It was how he stayed out of prison. How he kept his operations clean. How he protected his people. Getting mixed up with a dying cop was asking for trouble. Begging for it. The woman's eyes flickered. Her lips moved. Help. The word came out barely a whisper. So weak Vincent almost missed it. Her head tilted toward him, and for a split second, their eyes met. She wasn't begging. Wasn't pleading. Just looking at him with the kind of acceptance that said she knew she was dying. That she'd made peace with it. And somehow that made it worse. Vincent cursed under his breath. Loud. Sharp. Angry at himself for even hesitating. He pulled out his phone, his thumb hovering over the emergency dial. One call. Anonymous. Then he could disappear before anyone arrived. Simple. Clean. But as he looked at the woman again, something inside him shifted. She wasn't just a COP. She was someone's daughter. Maybe someone's sister. Someone who'd probably spent her whole life trying to do the right thing in a city that punished people for it. Just like he'd been punished for trying to survive in a world that gave him no other choice. Damn it. Vincent shoved his phone back in his pocket and moved closer. He knelt beside her, his expensive shoes soaking in her blood. The smell hit him immediately. Metallic. Sharp. The smell of someone who didn't have much time left. Hey, Vincent said, his voice rough. Can you hear me? The woman's eyes opened wider. Fear flashed across her face when she saw who was kneeling beside her. Even half dead, she recognized him. Vincent Cain. The most dangerous man in the city. Boss of the Cain family. The man the police had been trying to bring down for years. No, she gasped, trying to pull away. Her hand reached weakly for her empty holster. Her weapon was gone. Probably taken by whoever did this to her. Relax, Vincent said sharply. I'm not here to finish the job. The woman's breathing got more erratic, panic mixing with pain. You're Vincent Kane. Vincent's expression didn't change. Yeah, and you're dying. So unless you want your last moments to be bleeding out in an alley, you're going to let me help you. She tried to shake her head, but the movement made her wince. Blood bubbled at the corner of her mouth. Can't, she choked out. Can't trust you. Vincent laughed bitterly. Lady, if I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. I've got better things to do than watch a cop bleed out. He pressed his hand over hers, applying pressure to the wound in her side. She gasped in pain, her body going rigid. Who did this to you? Vincent demanded. Who? Her eyes filled with tears. Not from pain. From something darker. My own partner. The words hit Vincent like a punch. What? Set me up? She whispered, her voice breaking. Dirty cops. Been investigating them. They found out. Tried to silence me. Vincent's mind raced. A cop investigating corruption. Set up by her own people. Left to die in an alley. This wasn't just an attack. This was an execution. And whoever ordered it had connections. Power. Enough to make a police officer disappear without questions. How many others? Vincent asked urgently. How many cops are involved? She tried to answer, but her eyes started rolling back. No. Vincent grabbed her face, forcing her to focus on him. Stay with me. You don't get to die yet. Not until you tell me who did this. Names. I need names. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Her body was shutting down. Vincent looked around the empty alley. No witnesses. No cameras. Just him and a dying cop who'd been betrayed by the people sworn to protect her. He had two choices. Walk away. Pretend this never happened. Keep his vow to stay away from police business. Protect his empire. Protect his people. Or break that vow. Risk everything. And save someone who'd probably spent her entire career trying to put men like him behind bars. Vincent closed his eyes. Thought of all the reasons he should leave. All the ways this could destroy him. Then he thought of something else. His younger sister. Dead at 19 because dirty cops on someone's payroll looked the other way when she overdosed. Because corruption protected the dealers who sold her the drugs that killed her. Because nobody with power gave a damn about one girl from the streets. Vincent's eyes snapped open. Rage burning through him like fire. He scooped the woman into his ARMS. She was light. Too light. Her head lolled against his chest. Her breathing barely there. You're not dying tonight, Vincent said through clenched teeth. Not like this. Not because some dirty cops decided you were expendable. He carried her out of the alley, his mind already calculating his next moves. He couldn't take her to a hospital. Too many questions. Too much attention. But he knew someone. A doctor who owed him. Who didn't ask questions. Who could keep her alive long enough to get answers. As Vincent moved through the empty streets, the woman's hand suddenly gripped his jacket. Her eyes opened one more time. Why, she whispered. Why are you helping me? Vincent didn't answer right away. Then he said quietly, because someone should have helped my sister. And nobody did. The woman's eyes closed again, but her grip on his jacket tightened. Just slightly. Like maybe, just maybe, she understood. Vincent pulled out his phone with one hand, still carrying her with the other. He dialed a number. Marcus. I need the doctor at the safe house on 5th. Now. I don't care if he's sleeping. Wake him. This is code red. He hung up before his lieutenant could ask questions. Vincent looked down at the woman in his ARMS. Her face was ghostly pale. Her pulse weak beneath his fingers. He'd just broken his most important rule, and he had no idea what consequences were coming. But as he carried a dying cop through the shadows of the city he ruled, Vincent Kane realized something. Some rules were meant to be broken. And tonight, he was about to find out if saving one life would cost him everything. The safe house on 5th Street looked like any other abandoned warehouse from the outside. Rusted metal doors. Broken windows covered with plywood. Graffiti tags spray-painted across brick walls. But Vincent knew better. Behind those doors was a fully equipped medical facility. State-of-the-art equipment. Surgical lights. Monitoring systems. Everything needed to treat injuries that couldn't be explained in a hospital. He kicked the door open, still carrying the dying cop in his ARMS. Her breathing had gotten even weaker. Her skin felt like ice against his chest. Marcus was already there, pacing like a caged animal. His eyes went wide when he saw what Vincent was carrying. Boss, is the doctor here? Vincent interrupted, his voice like steel. Marcus nodded frantically. Yeah, but boss, that's a COP. You brought a cop to our safe house. Are you out of your? I said, is the doctor here? Vincent's tone left no room for argument. Dr. Chen appeared from the back room, medical bag already in hand. He was in his 60s, gray hair, steady hands, and the kind of face that had seen too much to be shocked by anything. But even he paused when he saw the police uniform. Mr. Kane, Chen said carefully. This is complicated. She's dying, Vincent said flatly. Fix her. Now. Chen looked at Marcus, then back at Vincent. If she dies here, if anyone finds out, we'll handle the consequences, Vincent interrupted. Right now, she needs surgery. So either you operate, or I find someone who will. Chen didn't argue further. He'd been in Vincent's debt for years. A gambling problem that would have gotten him killed if Vincent hadn't intervened. Now he paid that debt in blood and silence. Get her on the table, Chen commanded, snapping into professional mode. Vincent laid the woman down on the steel surgical table. Under the bright lights, she looked even worse. Bruises covered her face, deep gashes on her arms, and the wound in her side, dark and oozing. Chen cut away her uniform, exposing the full extent of the damage. 3 broken ribs, punctured lung, internal bleeding. He worked quickly, his hands moving with practiced precision, inserting IVs, hooking up monitors, preparing surgical instruments. Marcus pulled Vincent aside, his voice low and urgent. Boss, you need to think about this. She's a COP. When she wakes up, she's going to ask questions. And when the police realize she's missing, they're going to come looking. Let them look, Vincent said coldly. But boss, this isn't up for discussion, Marcus. Vincent's eyes were hard as diamonds. She was left to die by her own people. Cops who are supposed to protect and serve. If that doesn't make you sick, then you're not the man I thought you were. Marcus went quiet. He'd known Vincent for 15 years. Had seen him make brutal decisions without hesitation. Had watched him build an empire through force and fear. But he'd never seen this look in Vincent's eyes. This rage. This sense of purpose that went beyond business. What aren't you telling me? Marcus asked carefully. What's really going on here? Vincent was silent for a long moment. Then he said quietly. She was investigating dirty cops. Her own partner set her up. Left her to bleed out because she was getting too close to the truth. Marcus's expression shifted. Understanding dawning. And you think those same dirty cops might be connected to us? To our operations? Vincent nodded slowly. Think about IT, Marcus. How many times have we paid off cops? How many times have shipments gotten through because someone in a uniform looked the other way? What if the people we've been paying are the same ones who tried to kill her? The implications hit Marcus like a truck. If that was true, if the corruption went that deep, then they weren't just dealing with one dying COP. They were sitting on a conspiracy that could bring down half the police force and expose every criminal organization that had been paying for protection, including theirs. We need to know what she knows, Marcus said urgently, who she was investigating, what she found, and we need to know it before she wakes up and realizes she's in the hands of the Kane family. Vincent looked through the glass partition at Dr. Chen working frantically to save the woman's life. I'll handle it. You focus on making sure nobody followed us here. Double the guards. Nobody gets in or out without my permission. Marcus nodded and pulled out his phone, already making calls. Vincent stood alone, watching the surgery through the glass. His mind was racing. 20 minutes later, Chen emerged, peeling off blood-soaked gloves. She's stable, Chen said, exhaustion clear in his voice. For now. But she lost a lot of blood. The next 24 hours are critical. Will she wake up? Vincent asked. Eventually, Chen replied. But when she does, she's going to be in significant pain. I can manage that, but Mr. Kane, she's going to need answers. She's going to want to know where she is. Who saved her? Why? Tell her the truth, Vincent said simply. Chen's eyebrows shot up. The truth? That Vincent Kane, the man she's probably been trying to arrest for years, carried her out of an alley and saved her life? Vincent's expression didn't change. Yeah, exactly that. Because if she's investigating corrupt cops, then she needs to know that not everyone in this city is what they seem. Chen shook his head slowly, muttering under his breath. You're playing a dangerous game, Mr. Kane. Vincent walked past him into the recovery room, where the woman lay unconscious. Tubes ran from her arms. Monitors beeped steadily. Her face was clean now, the blood washed away. She looked younger than he'd thought. Maybe late 20s, early 30s. Her dark hair was pulled back from her face. And even unconscious, there was something fierce about her. Something that refused to quit. Vincent pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. He didn't know why, didn't understand the pull he felt. But he stayed there, watching her breathe, making sure she kept breathing. Hours passed in silence. Marcus came in twice to update him on security measures. Chin checked her vitals repeatedly. But Vincent didn't move. Finally, as dawn light started filtering through the warehouse cracks, the woman's eyes fluttered. Her hand twitched. A soft groan escaped her lips. Vincent leaned forward. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then sharp, alert, taking in her surroundings with trained observation. "Where?" she croaked, her voice barely audible. "Where am I?" "Safe house," Vincent said honestly. "You were dying. I brought you here." Her eyes found his face. Recognition flashed immediately, followed by confusion, then anger. "You." She tried to sit up, gasping in pain. The monitors started beeping louder. "Don't move," Vincent said firmly. "You just had surgery. Your lung was collapsed. 3 ribs broken. Internal bleeding. You're lucky to be alive." She stared at him with suspicion and fear. "Why would you save me? Why would Vincent Kane give a damn if a cop lives or dies?" "Because your own people left you to die," Vincent said bluntly. "And I don't like watching anyone get executed in an alley. Even cops." Her face went pale. Not from pain. From memory. "My partner," she whispered. "Rodriguez. He shot me. Left me there. Said I should have minded my own business." Vincent's jaw clenched. "What were you investigating?" The woman's eyes filled with tears. But not weakness. Fury. Corruption. Payoffs. Evidence of cops taking money from dealers. From organized crime. From people like you. Vincent didn't flinch. "And you got too close." She nodded weakly. "I had names. Dates. Transaction records. I was going to turn it all in. That's when Rodriguez found out. He and 3 other officers cornered me after my shift. Beat me. Shot me. Told me I was a liability." Her voice broke. "They left me to die like garbage." Vincent stood up slowly. "Those names you collected. Do you remember them?" She looked at him warily. "Why?" "Because if those cops are dirty enough to kill one of their own, they're dirty enough to be on multiple payrolls. Including mine. And I want to know who I've been doing business with." The woman's expression shifted. Understanding dawning. "You think the cops you paid off are the same ones who tried to kill me?" "I know they are," Vincent said coldly. "Because this city isn't big enough for multiple corruption rings. If you were investigating PAYOFFS, you were investigating MY operations. Whether you knew it or not." She processed this, then said quietly, "So what now? You keep me here? Use me as leverage? Kill me before I can talk?" Vincent leaned closer, his voice intense. "Now you heal. You get your strength back. And then you and I are going to do something neither of us ever thought possible." Her eyes narrowed. "What?" "We're going to take down every dirty cop in this city," Vincent said with absolute certainty. "Together." The woman laughed. A bitter, painful sound. "You're insane. You're a criminal. I'm a COP. We're on opposite sides." "Are we?" Vincent challenged. "Because from where I'm standing, your side just tried to murder you. And my side just saved your life. So maybe it's time to stop thinking about sides and start thinking about what's right." She stared at him, conflict clear on her face. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "What's your name?" "Vincent. Vincent Kane." "No," she said softly. "Your real name. Not the legend. Not the reputation. Who are you?" Vincent was silent. Nobody had asked him that in years. Finally he said quietly, "A man who's tired of watching this city eat people alive. Just like you are." Her expression softened. Just slightly. "My name is Sarah. Detective Sarah Martinez." Vincent nodded. "Well, Detective Martinez, welcome to the only place in this city where corrupt cops can't touch you." She looked around the medical facility. The equipment. The security. The reality of where she was. "I should hate you. I've spent 3 years trying to build a case against your organization." "I know," Vincent said simply. "And when this is over, you can go back to that. But right now, we have a common enemy. Cops who think they're above the law. Who think they can kill without consequences. And I don't know about you, but I'm done letting them get away with IT." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that shocked even herself. Okay. Vincent repeated, surprised. She met his eyes with determination. I'll work with you. Temporarily. To expose the corruption. To bring down Rodriguez and everyone involved. But Kane, when this is done, when the dirty cops are in prison, you and I go back to being enemies. Understood? Vincent smiled grimly. Understood. He extended his hand. She looked at it. Then slowly, painfully, reached out and shook it. And in that moment, in that abandoned warehouse turned medical facility, the most unlikely alliance in the city's history was born. A mafia boss and a dying COP, united by betrayal, fueled by rage, and determined to burn down the corruption that had nearly destroyed them both. Outside, the sun was rising. The city was waking up. The police force was about to discover that Detective Sarah Martinez was missing, and Vincent Kane was about to learn that saving one cop would trigger a chain of events that would shake his empire to its foundation. Because corrupt cops don't stop when one detective disappears. They escalate. They eliminate threats. They protect their secrets at any cost. 3 days later, Sarah was strong enough to walk with assistance. Strong enough to demand answers. And Vincent was ready to give them to her. The warehouse had become her prison and sanctuary. She couldn't leave. Not yet. Not while every cop in the city was searching for her. Vincent had his people monitoring police frequencies. What they heard made his blood run cold. Detective Sarah Martinez, missing. Presumed dead. A memorial service being planned. Her badge number retired. Case closed. Just like that. No investigation into who killed her. No questions about the ambush. Just a quiet burial of the truth. Convenient. Too convenient. Sarah stood by the window, staring at the city she'd sworn to protect. The city that had betrayed her. Her ribs still ached. Her breathing was shallow. But the fire in her eyes burned brighter than ever. They're not even looking for me, she said bitterly. 3 years on the force. Commendations. Awards. And they've already written me OFF. Vincent stood behind her, arms crossed. That's because they want you dead. Finding you alive complicates their story. Raises questions. Exposes lies. Sarah turned to face him. So what's your plan? Because I know you didn't save me out of the goodness of your heart. You want something. Vincent didn't deny it. I want names. Every dirty cop on your list. Every payoff you documented. Every connection you found. She laughed harshly. And then what? You eliminate them? Add more bodies to your empire? That's not justice, Kane. That's revenge. Vincent's eyes went hard. You think I built this empire on revenge? I built it on survival. On protecting people the system failed. People like my sister. People like you. Sarah's expression shifted. Your sister? Vincent was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice rough with old pain. Isabella. 19 years old. Overdosed on heroin cut with fentanyl. Bought from a dealer operating 3 blocks from a police station. You know why that dealer was never arrested? Sarah waited, her chest tightening. Because he was paying cops for protection, Vincent said flatly. $500 a week. Split between 4 officers. My sister died because those cops valued money over lives. So don't lecture me about justice, detective. I know exactly what the system protects. And it's not people like us. Sarah was quiet. Processing. Then she said softly. I'm sorry. About your sister. Vincent turned away. Don't be. Just help me make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. The door burst open. Marcus rushed in, his face pale. Boss, we've got a problem. What kind? Vincent demanded. The kind that involves Rodriguez and 6 other cops surrounding this building. Sarah's blood went cold. They found me. How? Marcus shook his head. Don't know. But they're not here officially. No backup. No patrol cars. Just 7 dirty cops with weapons and bad intentions. Vincent's mind raced. They'd been careful. No phone calls. No digital trails. Someone must have talked. Or worse, someone had been watching. Get her to the basement, Vincent commanded. Marcus, take 3 men. Protect her with your life. What about you? Sarah asked, alarm in her voice. Vincent pulled a handgun from his waistband. Check the clip. I'm going to have a conversation with your former colleagues. You can't fight them, Sarah said urgently. They'll kill you. Then they'll storm in here and finish what they started. Vincent smiled coldly. Detective, I've been fighting dirty cops since I was 16. They don't scare me. Marcus grabbed Sarah's arm. Come on. We need to move. Sarah resisted. Wait. She looked at Vincent. If you kill them, if you add more bodies, you're proving everything they say about you. That you're a monster. That you're the enemy. Vincent met her eyes. Maybe I am. But I'm a monster who saves people. What are they? Sarah had no answer. Marcus pulled her toward the basement access. She went reluctantly, looking back at Vincent one last time. Outside, Rodriguez and his crew moved like shadows. Professional. Coordinated. Weapons drawn. Rodriguez was in his 40s. Thick-built. Cold eyes. The kind of cop who'd stopped believing in justice years ago. If she'd survived, she's in there, Rodriguez said to his team. Find her. Kill her. And anyone who helped her. One of the younger cops hesitated. Rodriguez, maybe we should, maybe what? Rodriguez snapped. Call for backup? Explain why we're executing a fellow officer? She knows too much. She has evidence. If she talks, we all go to prison. So we yindy this. Tonight. They approached the warehouse entrance. Rodriguez tested the door. Locked. He signaled to one of his men. Breaching charge. But before they could plant it, the door swung open. Vincent stood in the doorway. Unarmed. Calm. Hands visible at his sides. Gentlemen, Vincent said with dangerous politeness. Can I help you? Rodriguez's gun came up immediately. Vincent Kane. Step aside. We have reason to believe you're harboring a fugitive. Vincent smiled coldly. A fugitive? You mean the cop you left to die in an alley? Rodriguez's expression didn't change, but his eyes flickered. Dangerous. I don't know what you're talking about. Vincent leaned against the doorframe, completely relaxed despite the 6 guns aimed at his chest. Detective Sarah Martinez. Shot by her partner. Left to bleed out. Except she didn't die. Unfortunate for you. Rodriguez's finger moved to the trigger. Where is she? Vincent's smile widened. Somewhere you'll never reach. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to lower your weapons. Leave my property. And pray I don't decide to make your corruption public. Rodriguez laughed. You're threatening us? We're the law, Kane. We can walk in there right now, and nobody will question it. Vincent's expression went icy cold. You're not the law. You're criminals wearing badges. And the difference between you and me? I don't pretend to be something I'm not. The younger cop spoke up nervously. Rodriguez, maybe we should. Shut up, Rodriguez snarled. Then to Vincent. Last chance. Hand over Martinez, or we come in shooting. Vincent didn't move. Then you better make your first shot count. Because you won't get a second. Rodriguez's face went red with rage. He raised his weapon. That's when the rooftops lit up. 20 men. All armed. All with laser sights pointed at Rodriguez and his crew. Vincent's people. Positioned for exactly this scenario. Rodriguez froze. His team looked around in panic. Red dots dancing across their chests. You were saying? Vincent asked calmly. Something about coming and shooting? Rodriguez's voice shook with barely controlled fury. You're making a mistake, Kane. A big one. We have friends. Connections. You can't fight the entire police force. Vincent stepped forward. I'm not fighting the entire force. Just the corrupt parts. And Detective Martinez has everything. Names. Dates. Bank records. Every payoff you've taken. Every dealer you've protected. Every law you've broken. She was going to expose you 3 days ago. Now she is MY resources. My protection. And MY motivation to see you all destroyed. Rodriguez's hands trembled. You're bluffing. Try me, Vincent said softly. Walk away right now and you might survive the week. Come into my property, threaten my people, and I promise you'll be in prison before dawn. Or worse. The standoff held for 10 agonizing seconds. Finally, Rodriguez lowered his weapon. His team followed suit. This isn't over, Rodriguez said through clenched teeth. Agreed, Vincent replied. It's just beginning. Rodriguez and his crew backed away slowly, never taking their eyes off the rooftops, never lowering their guard. When they finally disappeared into the night, Vincent's shoulders relaxed. Slightly, Marcus emerged from the basement with Sarah. She looked shocked. You just threatened 7 armed cops. Do you have a death wish? Vincent holstered his weapon. I have a strategy. There's a difference. What strategy? Sarah demanded. You just made yourself a target. They'll come back with more people. More weapons. They'll destroy you. Vincent turned to face her. Let them try. Because here's what they don't know. I've been recording everything. Every payoff they took from my organization. Every transaction. Every meeting. I have proof that connects them to dealers, traffickers, and murderers. Sarah's eyes went wide. You've been documenting them? Just like you were? Vincent nodded. The difference is, I have the resources to protect my evidence, to distribute it if something happens to me. Rodriguez and his crew, they're not just fighting one detective anymore. They're fighting an entire network. Sarah sat down heavily, processing this. Why? Why would you collect evidence against people you were paying? Vincent's expression was grim. Because I learned a long time ago. Never trust anyone you can't destroy. Those cops weren't partners. They were liabilities waiting to happen. And now? Now they're exposed. Sarah looked at him with new understanding. You're not just a criminal. You're a strategist. Vincent smiled without humor. In my world, there's no difference. You strategize or you die. Sarah stood up slowly, her ribs aching. So what's the plan? We can't stay here. Rodriguez will be back with reinforcements. We need to move before. She stopped abruptly, her eyes going to the window. Vincent followed her gaze. Outside, the street was filling with police cars. Not just 7 dirty cops. 20 vehicles. 40 officers. Surrounding the warehouse. Marcus cursed loudly. Boss, we're surrounded. Vincent's jaw clenched. He'd miscalculated. Rodriguez hadn't retreated. He'd called for backup. And now they were trapped. Sarah's face went pale. They're going to storm the building. Kill everyone inside. Blame it on a shootout. Vincent pulled out his phone. Made a call. I need everything. Right now. He hung up and looked at Sarah. How much do you trust me? Not at all, Sarah said honestly. Good, Vincent replied. Because what I'm about to do will either save both our lives or get us both killed. And I need you to follow my lead without questioning it. Sarah looked at the police force gathering outside. At the men on the rooftops. At Vincent's crew preparing for war. Then she made a decision that would change everything. Okay, I trust you. Vincent's expression shifted. Something like respect in his eyes. Then let's give them a show they'll never forget. He grabbed a megaphone, stepped out onto the warehouse catwalk where everyone could see him, and spoke words that would echo through the entire city. My name is Vincent Kane, and I'm here to expose the biggest corruption scandal in this city's history. Every cop down there with a badge? Ask yourselves, do you know who you're working with? Because some of your brothers aren't here to uphold the law. They're here to bury it. Sarah stepped beside him, visible to everyone. Alive. Breathing. Proof that Rodriguez had lied. Detective Sarah Martinez, Vincent continued. Alive. Despite the efforts of corrupt officers who tried to execute her for investigating their crimes. The crowd stirred. Confusion spreading through the ranks. Rodriguez's voice came over a loudspeaker. Don't listen to him. He's a criminal. He's lying. Vincent pulled out a USB drive. Held it high. This contains proof. Bank records. Recordings. Evidence of 15 police officers taking payoffs from dealers and criminals. Including the man giving you orders right now. Lieutenant Rodriguez. The night erupted into chaos. Some cops looked at Rodriguez with shock. Others with suspicion. The clean cops suddenly realizing they were standing beside the corrupt ones. And in that moment of confusion, of division, of truth crashing into lies, the warehouse courtyard became a battlefield of loyalty and betrayal. Cops staring at other cops, hands hovering near weapons, trust shattering like glass. Rodriguez's face went crimson with rage. He's lying. That evidence is fabricated. Kane is trying to save his own skin by destroying OURS. Don't listen to. Then let's verify it. A voice called from the crowd. Captain Helen Morrison pushed through the assembled officers. She was 50, steel gray hair, 28 years on the force, and a reputation for being incorruptible. She looked up at Vincent with hard eyes. Kane, you're claiming to have proof of police corruption? Vincent held up the USB drive. 15 officers. 3 years of documented PAYOFFS. Names, dates, bank transfers. All verified by Detective Martinez before she was nearly murdered by one of your own. Morrison's eyes shifted to Sarah. Her expression unreadable. Martinez, you're alive. Yes, ma'am, Sarah called down, her voice stronger now. And everything Kane said is true. Rodriguez and 6 others tried to execute me 3 days ago because I discovered they were taking money from dealers and organized crime. Morrison's jaw clenched. That's a serious accusation, Detective. I know, Sarah replied. That's why I have 3 years of evidence to back it up. Rodriguez's hand moved toward his weapon. This is insane. Morrison, don't let them manipulate. Hands where I can see them. Rodriguez. Morrison's voice cracked like a whip. Now. Rodriguez froze. Around him, his crew of dirty cops looked panicked. Some started backing toward their vehicles. Morrison's voice rose louder. Nobody moves. If what Detective Martinez says is true, then we have a cancer in this department. And I will cut it out regardless of who it implicates. She looked back at Vincent. Kane, I want that evidence. And I want it verified by independent investigators. Not your people. Not mine. Federal. Vincent nodded slowly. Agreed. On one condition. Morrison's eyes narrowed. You're not in a position to make conditions. Vincent's voice was steel. I am when that evidence also implicates 3 city councilmen, 2 judges, and a deputy mayor. You want to clean up this city? Then we do it right. Federal investigation. Full immunity for Martinez. And protection for both of us until every corrupt official is in custody. Morrison was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke into her radio. This is Captain Morrison. I need FBI liaison immediately. Federal investigation into departmental corruption. And I need internal affairs to secure Rodriguez and his unit. Rodriguez's face went white. You're making a mistake, Helen. A career-ending mistake. The only mistake I made, Morrison said coldly, was not listening when good officers like Martinez tried to report corruption. That ends tonight. IA officers moved forward, weapons drawn, surrounding Rodriguez and his crew. One of the younger dirty cops panicked, raised his weapon. Don't, Sarah screamed from the catwalk. But it was too late. The shot rang out. Chaos exploded. Officers diving for cover. Return fire from Vincent's men on the rooftops. Civilians in nearby buildings screaming. Vincent grabbed Sarah and pulled her back inside the warehouse. Move. Now. They ran through the corridor as bullets shattered windows. Marcus met them at the stairs. Boss, we've got 3 exits. East side is clear. Vincent shook his head. We're not running. Not anymore. He turned to Sarah. That evidence you collected. Where's the original? Sarah's eyes went wide. In my apartment. Hidden in the ventilation system. Nobody knows it's there. Vincent grabbed his phone. Marcus, I need a team at Detective Martinez's apartment. West Side, Unit 4B. Retrieve a package hidden in the vent system. Bring it here immediately. Marcus's voice came back urgent. Boss, that's across town. We need to get through roadblocks. Do it, Vincent commanded. This is everything. Sarah grabbed his arm. Wait. If they find that evidence first, if Rodriguez has people watching my apartment, they don't, Vincent said with certainty. Because they think you're dead. They think the evidence died with you. That's our advantage. Outside, the gunfire stopped. Morrison's voice came over a megaphone. Ceasefire. Everyone stand down. Slowly, the chaos settled. The dirty cop who'd fired the first shot was on the ground. Wounded but alive. IA officers had Rodriguez and his crew in handcuffs. Morrison looked up at the warehouse. Kane. Martinez. We need to talk. Face to face. Vincent looked at Sarah. Your call, detective. Do we trust her? Sarah thought about Morrison. Her reputation. Her history. Then she nodded. She's one of the good ones. If anyone can help us, it's her. They descended to the courtyard. Morrison stood waiting, flanked by 2 IA officers. Up close, her expression was complicated. Relief. Anger. Determination. Martinez, Morrison said quietly. When we found your badge and blood at that scene, I thought we'd lost one of the best. Sarah's throat tightened. I'm sorry I didn't come to you sooner, Captain. I didn't know who to trust. Morrison's expression softened. Slightly. I understand why. This department has failed you. But we're going to make it right. She turned to Vincent. Kane, I don't like you. I don't like what you represent. But if what you're saying is true, you may have just exposed the biggest corruption scandal in this city's history. Vincent met her eyes evenly. It's true. Every word. And it goes higher than just street cops taking PAYOFFS. Morrison's jaw set. Then we'll take them all down. Together. A black SUV pulled up. FBI agents emerged, professional and no nonsense. Morrison briefed them quickly. They listened with increasingly grim expressions. One agent, a woman in her 40s named Torres, approached Vincent. Mr. Kane, we'll need your full cooperation. Everything you have. Recordings. Documents. Testimony. Vincent nodded. You'll get it. But I want guarantees. Protection for Detective Martinez. Immunity from prosecution for crimes related to this investigation. And security until every corrupt official is in custody. Torres considered this. You're asking for a lot. I'm offering more, Vincent replied. 3 years of documented corruption. Connections between organized crime and city officials. Evidence that will reshape this entire city. Torres extended her hand. Deal. But Kane, if you're lying, if this is some kind of manipulation, I will personally ensure you spend the rest of your life in federal prison. Vincent shook her hand firmly. I'm not lying. Because unlike the cops who tried to kill Detective Martinez, I actually want to see justice done. Marcus arrived 20 minutes later, breathing hard, carrying a manila envelope sealed with evidence tape. Boss, got IT. Sarah took the envelope with trembling hands. This is everything. 3 years of work. Bank statements. Recordings. Photographs of cash exchanges. Documented meetings between cops and dealers. It's all here. Torres took the envelope carefully. We'll need time to verify this. Weeks of investigation. Maybe months. Sarah's voice was urgent. We don't have months. Rodriguez isn't working alone. There are others. Powerful people who will do anything to bury this. Torres's expression was grim. Then we work fast. And we protect our witnesses. She signaled to her team. Sarah Martinez and Vincent Kane are under federal protection effective immediately. Nobody touches them without going through U.S. Rodriguez screamed from where he was handcuffed. You're making a mistake. Kane is a criminal. A liar. You're protecting the enemy. Morrison walked over to Rodriguez. Her voice was icy. No, Rodriguez. We were the enemy. We took an OATH to protect and serve. And we broke it. For money. For power. We became the thing we were supposed to fight. She turned her back on him. Disgusted. Take them away. Rodriguez and his crew were loaded into transport vehicles. Still shouting. Still threatening. But their power was broken. Their secrets exposed. As the vehicles drove away, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Real. Fragile. But there. She looked at Vincent. Standing beside her despite everything. A criminal who'd saved her life. Who'd risked his empire to expose corruption. Who'd proven that sometimes the lines between good and evil weren't as clear as badges and handcuffs. Thank you, Sarah said quietly. For everything. Vincent's expression was unreadable. Don't thank me yet. This isn't over. The people at the top, the ones Rodriguez was protecting, they're not going to let this go quietly. Sarah nodded. I know. But now we have federal protection. Evidence. People who will listen. Vincent looked at the city skyline. Lights glittering in the darkness. For the first time in years, he felt something other than cynicism. Maybe, just maybe, things could actually change. Maybe, Sarah said, reading his thoughts. But it starts with US. With people willing to fight even when the system is broken. Vincent smiled. Grimly. Then I guess we're in for one hell of a fight. 3 weeks later, the city exploded. 15 cops arrested. 3 city councilmen indicted. 2 judges facing federal charges. A deputy mayor resigning in disgrace. The corruption scandal made national news. Headlines screaming about the detective who survived assassination and the mafia boss who helped expose everything. Sarah stood in Captain Morrison's office, now promoted to lieutenant. Her badge restored. Her reputation rebuilt. Morrison looked at her with respect. You did good, Martinez. Damn good. Sarah felt pride. But also exhaustion. It's not over yet, Captain. There are still corrupt officers out there. Still dealers operating. Still work to do. Morrison nodded. Then get to work, Lieutenant. Sarah left the office. Outside, Vincent was waiting, leaning against his CAR, looking dangerously out of place at a police station. They'd agreed to meet one last time. To close this chapter. You came, Sarah said, surprised. Vincent shrugged. Figured I owed you a proper goodbye. Sarah studied him. So what now? You go back to your empire? Pretend none of this happened? Vincent was quiet. Then he said something unexpected. Actually, I'm retiring. Sarah's eyes went wide. What? Vincent smiled without humor. Turns out, exposing corruption is bad for business. My partners are nervous. My connections are severed. And honestly, I'm tired. Tired of the violence. The lies. The endless game. Sarah didn't know what to say. So what will you do? Vincent looked at the sky. Something different. Something that doesn't involve bullets and betrayal. Maybe something that actually helps people. Like you do. Sarah's chest tightened. Kane, Vincent corrected. But you can call me by my real name. Michael. Michael Grant. Sarah blinked. You've been using an alias this whole time? Vincent, Michael smiled. In my world, real names get you killed. But I figure if I'm starting over, I should start with the truth. Sarah extended her hand. Then goodbye, Michael Grant. And thank you. For everything. Michael shook her hand. Then pulled her into an unexpected hug. Brief. But genuine. Take care of yourself, Sarah. Make this city worth saving. Sarah watched him drive away, disappearing into traffic. A criminal who'd become an ally. An enemy who'd become a friend. A man who'd proven that redemption was possible even in the darkest places. She turned back to the police station, her badge heavy on her chest. The city still broken, but healing. One arrest at a time. One corrupt official exposed. One life saved. And somewhere across town, Michael Grant, formerly Vincent Kane, sat in his empty mansion, looking at the empire he was dismantling, the businesses he was selling, the life he was leaving behind. His sister's photo sat on the desk. Isabella, smiling. Forever 19. Maybe I finally kept my promise, he whispered to her image. Maybe I finally made things right. Outside, the city continued. Corrupt officials being arrested. Honest cops rising. A system slowly, painfully, being rebuilt. And two people, a detective and a former mafia boss, had proven that sometimes justice doesn't come from the system. It comes from people brave enough to fight for it, regardless of which side of the law they stand on. The Yindi, or perhaps just the beginning. If this story of justice moved you, smash that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling us what you would have done in Sarah's position. Would you have trusted a mafia boss to save your life? Would you have worked with your enemy to expose corruption? Share this story with everyone who needs to know that sometimes the heroes aren't the ones wearing badges. They're the ones with the courage to do what's right no matter the cost. This story proves that justice doesn't always come from the system. Sometimes it comes from the most unexpected places. Don't miss our next story.